Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
This the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Prograis.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 323 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm joined as ever by Mr. Eddie Chambers in a festive mood this time. Eddie, how you doing, man?
I'm good, my man. How about you?
Always good when speaking with you. It is a festive time for me. Obviously, this is the Christmas special. We are doing something a little bit different this time. We're going to be reviewing the fights from last week, of course, and this coming week. There's not really anything on to preview. There's going to be some news. There's going to be a couple of interviews. Let's start, though, at the Bell Centre with the review part of the show in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Over here, this one was on ESPN+. Artur Beterbiev did end up wearing down Marcus Browne in the end. Marcus Browne had a good start to the fight, though, and again, a head clash that caused a cut in the middle of Beterbiev's head. It was almost reminiscent of that cut that Badou Jack suffered when he boxed Marcus Browne. Beterbiev now 17-0, 17 KOs, a 9th round KO over Marcus Browne, who's now 24-2. A defense there of Beterbiev's WBC and IBF light heavyweight world titles. Browne down in the 7th and the 9th. Do you know what? It was a really good fight to watch. I mean, Beterbiev, to come back from that horrendous cut, the blood was streaming down his face like a waterfall, like a bloodfall from his forehead all the way down his face, his chest, his arms. Marcus Browne had white gloves on. They were covered in blood. His shorts were covered in blood. They really could have stopped it, but I don't think they were ever planning on stopping it. But yeah, Marcus Browne started the fight really well. I said that I felt there's a chance he could do something in the fight. And you know what? He was getting the better of some of those early rounds, outboxing Beterbiev. But then, I'm not sure. I mean, Beterbiev seemed to just take over, bit down on the gum shield. Again, some people saying that they saw holes in his performance. They can see that Canelo would exploit those holes and all the rest of it. But his performance here against Browne, a good one. But yeah, Browne in the end, I think it was a body shot that he stayed down for in that 9th and final round for him. But a good effort, but yeah, just not quite good enough. Steve Rose with a win on the undercard, former Golovkin victim. He's now 21-1. That's about it really for the undercard. Did you see any of that fight there, Eddie?
Yeah, I watched Steve Rose that fight, and I think I definitely watched the Beterbiev with
Marcus Browne.
I don't know why I couldn't even say his name. But Steve Rose, I mean, he showed he has some dimensions, but I think a little slow, at times a little predictable. You know what I mean? The elite guys are gonna beat him, in my opinion. No disrespect to him. He's not a bad fighter, but I don't think he's an elite guy. He's an elite type guy. That's just my opinion. Though that doesn't necessarily mean I'm right. She can make me look like an idiot for what I said, but as it stands and from what I see, that's what I'm giving him there. But as far as Beterbiev, I think there's a lot of things that he does that a lot of people may not find aesthetically pleasing, Beterbiev. But I think his ability to stick to what he's good at and to take his time and understanding that he has fight-changing power, not overdoing it, not overcommitting to offense constantly, and he's not horrible defensively. Like, he keeps his hands up nice. He's already a sturdy guy, so he can take a good amount of punishment, and he's obviously, you saw the world-class heart and being tough by, having that crazy cut that he had, and actually must have had a pretty good gas tank, because when you're losing that kind of blood and you see it, and it can weigh on your mind and on your body. So a lot of good things I got from that fight from Beterbiev, but obviously, when you talk about Canelo going up and fighting, and that's a step up in weight, obviously. I mean, Canelo's fought, obviously, at 75 before beating Kovalev. But I don't think Kovalev at that point in his career is the same Kovalev. And not only that, I think Beterbiev at this point in his career is still pretty strong and tough. And he's almost like, and he punches really, really punches. Now, Canelo has enough boxing ability and head movement skills to be, careful defensively and not catch anything crazy early. But as the fight wears on and he keeps the foot pressure on him, I'm not sure that he won't get caught with a couple shots, and Beterbiev is also a pretty good body puncher, obviously. And he just has power all around. And like I said, he's really sturdy and really fierce on the offense. On the offensive side. Like I said before, a little bit too careful sometimes with his punches, but I think that's a tough fight for Canelo. I wouldn't just be so ready just to say, oh yeah, Canelo would just out dominate him because of what they saw in there with the fight with Marcus Brown. It's a different fight. Marcus Brown's about 6'1", 6'2". He's not a slow guy. He's pretty good. He's talented. I'm not sure that Canelo was going to pose that same problem. And he's probably going to be a tougher problem, but different. Maybe Beterbiev is better dealing with Canelo than he was even with Marcus Brown. Who knows? But, I doubt it. But it's a fight that's exciting that I would like to see. It's got two good names in it. I would like to see it happen.
Yeah, it will be a tough fight for Canelo. It's one I'd like to see as well. Obviously, we've got to remember Canelo's moving up to cruiserweight for his next one. Moving out now to, I think this one took place in Uzbekistan, over here in Tashkent. We've got, this one was on DAZN, by the way. Israel Madrimov now 8-0, a KO in round 9 against Michel Soro. 35-3 with a draw now. Wins on the undercard as well for Bektemir Melikuziev. He come off that loss, that shocking knockout defeat to Gabriel Rosado. He's now 8-1. Elsewhere on that card, wins for Shakram Giasov, now 12-0, and also Hasanboy Duzmatov, who's now 4-0. Moving out now to Kazakhstan, a win here for the Olympic gold medalist Daniil Yelusinov, now 11-0, a unanimous decision over 12 rounds there against Juan Hernan Liao, who's now 15-2. That one was for the vacant IBO welterweight world title. A win as well on that undercard for Ivan Dyko, who's now 11-0, I think with 11 KOs. A knockout in the very first round against Alexander Ustinov, now 36-6 with a draw. The corner through that toweling in the first round. Moving out now to Mexico, over here at the Palenque de la Feria Ganadera in Culiacan, Sinaloa. Over here, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. now 53-6 with a draw. It was his 60th pro fight. A unanimous decision win for him over 10 rounds against David Zagara, who's now 34-7. Moving out now to the Ice Palace in Ukraine. This one was on ESPN. Denis Berenchik, now 16-0, unanimous decision over 12 rounds against Issa Shanayev, now 15-4 there for the WBO International Lightweight title. Wins on the undercard for Vladislav Sirenko, now 19-0. He knocked out in round 6 Andrei Rudenko, who's now 34-6. I haven't seen the stoppage, but I've heard it was a really, 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 really dodgy stoppage. Apparently Rudenko wasn't even hurt. Remember, he'd never been knocked out, and the referee waved it off. It was really, really weird. I need to go see that, because everyone I've heard speak about it, apparently it's like the worst stoppage of all time. Like, people are saying it makes other fights that we all think were, real bad stoppages, it makes them look like horrendous stoppages, like they should have been stopped 30 seconds prior. This was something in a league of its own, apparently. What else do we have? on the undercard, a win for a heavyweight called Ihor Shevazutsky, who's now 9-0, a unanimous decision over 6 rounds on the undercard against Kamil Sokolowski. Sokolowski now 11-24 with 2 draws, coming off that win as well last time out against George Fox. That's about it really for that one. Moving out now to the Manchester Arena here. This one was on DAZN. Let's start with the undercard. Wins for Jordan Thompson, a first round knockout. He's now 12-0. A win there against Piotr. Again, I'm not sure how this name's said. Piotr Budziszewski, now 4-1. Alan the Savage Babic hurt himself actually, by the way, but he managed to pick out the knockout once again. 10-0, 10 KOs, a 6th round KO against David Spielmont. Sandy Ryan with a win, now 3-0. Zelfa Barrett with a win, now 27-1. A unanimous decision over 12 against Bruno Tarimo, who's now 26-3-2. Tarimo down in the 3rd round, but got up and went the distance. Another good win there for Zelfa Barrett. Jack Cullen was upset. I believe he got in with a late replacement as well, but he was upset. He's now 20-3 with a draw. A TKO loss for him against Kevin Saggio, who was relatively unknown, but I think he was 16-0 with maybe 15 or 14 or 13 KOs. It was for the vacant EBU European super middleweight title. Cullen was cut in the 2nd round. He was down from a body shot, a left hand. It was just prior to that stoppage. Carlos Gongora, 20-0. He went into the fight as the favourite against our very own Lerrone Richards. We will be speaking to him in a little while. He's now 16-0, Richards. A split decision win over 12 rounds. Never should have been a split. I think he won it quite clearly. It was there for the IBO World Super Middleweight title. Again, this show, it is the Christmas special. Every single Christmas, we've got to at least bring, a couple of interviews, 2, 3, something like that, every single Christmas. And unless it's a really big special one, I think last year it was Nigel Benn. I mean, that is British boxing royalty. This year, it's kind of half normal show, half Christmas show. So we're going to be speaking to Lerrone Richards. He boxed on the weekend. That's a normal kind of thing that we do. And then the show will end with a long interview, an in-depth interview with a former world champion. So that is how we're doing it this week, if you didn't already know this far into the podcast. And the main event here, Joseph Parker, friend of the show. He picked up his 30th career win. He's now 30-2. A unanimous decision over 12 rounds against Derek Delboy Chisora, now 32-12. Chisora down 3 times. It was for the WBO Intercontinental Heavyweight title. I predicted a points win for Joseph Parker, although I have to say a few times in the fight I thought he was going to get the stoppage. Round 1, I gave to Parker. I think he kept the fight on the outside. He popped out the jab a few times. He was much smarter than he had been in the first fight, I felt. Second round, I gave to Parker. I think early on in the round, Chisora was able to get close, and that part of the round was fought in the pocket. I think Chisora had a lot of success, and I was beginning to wonder if he's successfully drawn Parker into his style of fight. But as the round progressed, Parker got back to his smart boxing from the outside and actually wound up hurting Chisora, I felt, with a few uppercuts. Round 3, a much closer round, especially in the second half of that round. Chisora, in the first half of it, looked super tired to me and actually a little bit wobbly. He went back onto the ropes at one point. He looked just, a little bit odd to me. Chisora did finish quite strong in that round, though. Round 4, down goes Chisora for the first time. On the replay, I wasn't so sure it was a knockdown. He did get caught with a peach of an uppercut, but he was kind of thrown into the ropes a little bit. The referee felt that they held him up. It was a tough one to call, to be honest with you, but I wasn't sure it was a legit knockdown. Round 5, I gave to Chisora. It was a close round. Round 6, again, maybe a Chisora round. He seemed to kind of come on quite strong in the mid-rounds. He definitely backed Parker up a lot. And Parker was perhaps a little bit tired at that point as well. Chisora seemed to maybe get his second win. Round 7, down Chisora goes again. It was a right uppercut that sent him down. No complaints with that knockdown at all. It was a screw shot uppercut from Parker. And then Chisora gets back up and he goes to a corner. And it was weird. I don't know if you saw it, Eddie. I'll come to you in a moment. But when he got up off being knocked out, he walked immediately to a corner and then stood in the corner, like almost as if he was going to counter from one of Parker's shots. And I mean, that's not his style. He's certainly not a counter puncher, and he's certainly not, a one punch knockout guy either. So I don't know what he was doing with that. He did have success winging in hooks in that round, but again, he'd lost the round 10-8, even though he finished strong. We know Chisora's a tough guy, made of steel. Round 8, down Chisora goes again. It was the same exact shot, the same screw shot uppercut. Joseph Parker feinted with the jab and he whipped in this uppercut. Brutal. Chisora, I thought at this point, surely isn't going to be going the distance. Again, down 3 times. Half saved by the bell as well at the end of that 8th round. Round 9, again, Chisora, I felt, was just fighting on instinct. Parker, whenever he wanted to catch Chisora and put him in bother, you know, he could. And every time he loaded up, he was hurting Chisora. Chisora's corner, I felt, should have been thinking about throwing the towel in. But then again, there was only 3 rounds to go. I know how proud a man Chisora is. We know how tough he is. Parker, I just felt, was a little bit too fresh. Again, his second wind had kicked in. Chisora was the one looking really tired. Round 10, a very sloppy round. Both guys very tired. The shots were not really packing the same kind of power they once had. Chisora was doing a lot of using his strength kind of thing. Close round. I don't think anyone really dominated anything. Could have gone either way the round. But again, on my card, Chisora at this point needs a knockout. Round 11, again, another really sloppy round. Full of holding, to be honest with you. Both men didn't really have much left in the gas tank. Again, a really close round. And then round 12, I think Parker won that round. I felt he closed the show with the cleaner shots once again. And yeah, on my card, I wasn't scoring it strictly round by round, but surely I felt he'd won the fight by a landslide. I want to say this as well, Eddie. Firstly, did you watch the fight? Just give me a yes or no on that one.
No, I didn't get a chance to see it. I want to see it. I'm sorry.
Shame.
I know. I want to
Fine.
watch it. I want to see it. I really want to see it.
It's fine. All I wanted to just make a point of, really, and I'm sure you'll agree with me here, but when a good fighter has a fight against another guy and it's a close fight or whatever, and then they decide to do a rematch, I think you show how good you are when you come back in the rematch and win it much wider than you did the first fight. And I hate to kick Chisora while he's down kind of thing, but there's been a few. I want to use him as the example. We've seen him have the really close fight with Dillian Whyte the first time, comes back and gets knocked out cold. We've seen him have not so much of a close fight, but the first Tyson Fury fight was a competitive, very competitive fight at the time, and we saw what happened in the rematch. He completely annihilated him that night. You was on the undercard, I was in the building, and then this rematch he's had with Parker, again, the first one really close. He dropped Parker, and it was really close. A lot of people felt Chisora won, and then Parker comes back in this rematch, has him down 3 times, and no one can make a case for Chisora here. It seems like, Joseph Parker, Tyson Fury, and Dillian Whyte are all clearly levels above the likes of Chisora. The way they've gone away, changed the tactics, edited the game plan, and turned up an improved version of themselves, whereas Chisora, let's be honest here, has been the same guy in all of those fights, the first one and the second one, against Whyte, Fury, his whole career actually. He's always been the same guy. He seems to not be able to change anything.
And I agree with you 1,000,000%. That's the difference. These guys are coming in with game. You come in with a game plan or whatever, and everybody knows you have a game plan, you get hit, things change. You know what I mean? Mike Tyson said that, and that's true. But when you fight someone over, it's like in basketball, you have a 7-game series. You got to be able to make adjustments. You got to have little things that you can do that will turn the fight possibly in your favor. You got to be able to do that. And Chisora is what you see is what you get every time. He's going to be the same guy, not necessarily going to get any worse, but not going to really improve much. He's going to be in front of you, in your face the entire night. Now, for some guys, and obviously for the first time with each of these fighters, they struggle with that because it's something you got to. Even when he fought David Haye, like I watched him fight David Haye, and he was on the end, all in his grill the whole early part of the fight till he started getting caught, and then when he got knocked out, that's what happened. It's a difficult thing to deal with when somebody's that busy and that aggressive. But if you fight them again and you kind of know what to expect, and they don't really make any adjustments, even, any tactical adjustments, and you're the same thing. It's like, okay, so now I'm gonna try this, or not so much I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna game plan for it. I'll be better prepared for what he's bringing to the table, which there's no tactical difference in what he's doing. All I got to do is figure out how to understand the pressure a little better, know where he's coming from, how he's coming, where the shots are coming from. And once you figure that out, it becomes really, really easy. Now, I'm not going to say easy because he's still tough. He's still going to fight you to the end. But when you have that edge and understanding, you almost know what's coming. Even if, like I said, he's tough, strong, and all that, it's still gonna. The only way that it could get you is if you get tired. You know what I mean? And I really just feel like at this level, when there's not much that separates, the talent, so to speak, you got to have more than one thing. You got to be able to go into your toolbox and grab a couple different tools. Can't just keep coming with the same thing, because certain tools aren't going to work for certain problems. You know what I mean? And I think that's where Chisora has run into his problems in some of these second fights. You understand? It's like if he could somehow add something to what he does. Like we all know he's going to be busy. We all know he's going to be in your face, but he can add a little something to it. He could try to add a little something to it, so it doesn't make it, because sometimes when a guy's that busy or in your face that much, he's coming to you. So all you got to do is set traps. You set traps, you'll put him in positions to get caught, and that's why he kept getting hit. And I didn't even see it, but what you were saying, Joe, he kept getting hit with that same shot because he's not prepared to make the adjustment. That's why these guys were able to come back, because they're class fighters. They're real. Not saying that Chisora isn't a real fighter, but I mean, they're class fighters. They have the ability to adjust their game plan based on the fighter that's in front of them. You know what I mean? And I think that's where Chisora in his career has fell short. It's extremely tough, comes to fight, but he needed to be able to make adjustments. And in his career, I just don't think he's been able to do that. And I think that's been his biggest downfall.
Yeah, no, I agree, of course, with that analogy. There was a tweet going around Twitter. Some people were laughing at the tweet because someone on a boxing page tweeted that Derek Chisora is like the heavyweight version of Sean Porter. A lot of people disagree because Sean Porter has won a couple of world titles and he's certainly reached the elite level of his weight class, whereas I think, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but I think a much better analogy or a much better comparison is to call Derek Chisora the heavyweight Gabe Rosado. I think that better fits, in my opinion.
That's probably a little better.
Yeah.
The only thing is, I think one thing I think about Gabe Rosado is that his approach to boxing is slightly different. But he's tough, blood and guts type situation, but his approach is a little different. He fights a little different.
Oh yeah,
but
absolutely.
Yeah, but you're 100% right. If you want to, and even with the amount of losses and the amount of fights and all of that stuff, actually that's a really, really, really good comparison, because they both been kind of on the same boat pretty much their entire career.
Yeah. I don't mean fighting style. I just mean, as you say, like when they step up against the elite of the weight class, they lose every time. They've had some very close ones with guys that, are right up there, like a Parker, things like that. Right, moving on. We're going to move now to the Norfolk Showground. This one took place in Norwich, Norfolk, United Kingdom. This one actually was promoted by Mervyn Turner, former Team Fury member, a guy you know well, Eddie. He put a card on here. Ryan Walsh with a win, now 27-3 with 2 draws, a points win over 6 against late replacement Ronnie Clark, who's now 21-7 with 2 draws. Ronnie Clark turned up at the weigh-in with an item of clothing covering his private parts that I can't really put into words. It was some kind of red and white fluffy Santa-inspired piece of some kind of clothing garment, just about covering what he had down there. He was cut in the first round, but he went the distance, lost on points over 6. I like Ronnie Clark, a real character. And on the undercard as well, Michael Walsh, the brother of Ryan Walsh, now 14-0. First time he's gone the distance. He had 13 KOs from his 13 wins. He's lost that 100% knockout ratio. A points win over 6 there against Brian Morena, who's now 10-22 with a draw. Got a soft spot for Michael Walsh, obviously, because because if you know the backstory to his terrible luck outside of the ring, it's gripping. It's extremely sad. Again, just for those that don't know, Michael Walsh had a son. I'm not sure if the son is still alive, by the way, but I know that his son was born with a heart that was 20% the size of a normal baby's heart when it was born. The little baby's name was Liam, and he actually died for 43 minutes during one heart operation. I think he's had several heart operations. He's been in hospital for a lot of his young life. And Michael Walsh, a pro boxer, actually bought a tent and slept outside the hospital on the street for days on end, so he could be there first thing in the morning for his son. So he'd go to sleep in a tent he bought, I think, for £35. He'd sleep on the street. He'd wake up, and his morning routine would be that he'd go and buy food for all the other homeless people there, and then he'd go and check on his son. And he did this every single day while his son was inside the hospital, with tubes coming in and out of every part of his body. It's absolutely dreadful and very, very sad. So I've always got a soft spot for people that go through those kinds of struggles outside of the ring, and they're not always spoken about, or the knowledge on them is not very deep. I'm not sure if he's still alive. I hope he's still alive, of course, God, but yeah, a very unfortunate situation, and he's kind of had to put his career on the back burner. He was out the ring for a few years. I'm not sure what he's doing now. He's up there in age, but still undefeated. Yeah, so moving out now, though, to the Rainton Meadows Arena, this one in Tyne Wear over here. Richard Schaefer actually promoted this card. That's a weird one. But anyways, Lewis Ritson with a win. He's now 22-2. His opponent retired on his store at the end of the 9th round. He was down in that 9th round. His opponent, Christian Uruzquieta, now 20-5 with 2 draws. Ricky Burns with a predictable points win, 44-8 with a draw. He got in there with Emiliano Dominguez, who's now 26-10 with a draw. Unanimous decision there over 10 rounds for Ricky Burns. I think both guys had never been stopped. Both guys were not big punchers. I felt that's always going the distance there. And Thomas Patrick Ward with a win as well. I'm not sure if I could say he's back to his best, but he pretty much shut out Leonardo Padilla, who's now 20-4, and Thomas Patrick Ward 31-0 with a draw. Joe Laws on the undercard with a win, 12-1 now, a points win over 6 against Seamus Devlin, who's 0-17. Moving out now to the Amalie Arena in Tampa, Florida, USA. This one was on Showtime pay-per-view. Amanda Serrano with a win, a 10-round unanimous decision win. She absolutely beat the brakes off of Miriam Gutierrez, former opponent of Katie Taylor. She wanted to make a statement and stop her, which Katie Taylor couldn't do. However, she couldn't do it either. Miriam Gutierrez, though, I mean, at any point her corner could have thrown a towel in. Her face at the end of it was actually bad enough to make you want to puke. It was disgraceful, or disgusting is the right word. It wasn't disgraceful. She's got a lot of heart, but she got beaten to a pulp, and I mean that. That's the definition of being beaten to a pulp. She looked horrible. She looked like, something from her face looked like a Halloween mask. Amanda Serrano now 42-1 with a draw, unanimous decision, like I say. Miriam Gutierrez 14-2. Yeah, so I want to see Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor. They're talking about it for next year. They're talking about it at the Madison Square Garden. What an amazing fight that will be. I hope it happens. Jay Leon Love on the undercard, weighing in at 197 pounds. He's put on 30 pounds since his retirement about 2 years ago. Weighing in as a cruiserweight, he got in there with Marcus Oliveira, who's now 28-6 with a draw because Jay Leon Love pulled out the win on points over 8 rounds. And then the main event, we're not gonna go into it too much, but Jake Paul with a win, 5-0, a KO in round 6 against Tyrone Woodley, who's now 0-2 as a pro. I wasn't sure there was going to be a knockout because obviously the first fight went the distance, and credit to Jake Paul for taking the rematch. Credit for Woodley as well. I mean, it's a huge payday for him, but I felt it was quite risky for Paul, really, going in with a guy that almost beat him in that first fight, even though he wasn't giving Woodley too much notice because of the Tommy Fury situation, but that's out of his hands. I'm sure you've seen the knockout, Eddie. Some people saying, has a YouTuber managed to get knockout of the year in a boxing ring?
I don't know, man. I really don't know. I even hear some people saying it is fake.
Oh,
Man, it's not real. They're Woodley put. I mean, look. At the end of the day, it's troubling. You know what I mean? A little bit for Woodley. I seeing him. He's a real fighter. I'm not, but I guess you can't ignore that these guys have actually been boxing. They've actually been trying to put their hours in and trying to get better. So, I mean, I'm not going to completely shit on what they've done, but man, it's just unfortunate for Woodley because from what I understand, I didn't really see much of it. I just watched the replay of what happened with the knockdown and everything. So I really get a chance to see before I understand Woodley was in front, was maybe a little ahead in the fight. At least,
I'm not sure if I'd say that.
I mean, I don't know. This is what I'm hearing.
Have you been reading Clarissa Shields' tweets or something?
No.
Okay, no. She had it to Woodley, but I don't think many others did. I don't know.
Oh, I don't. I just know it was like close. Like I thought maybe he'd been up, but I mean, this is what I heard. And then that happened. So it's just and for him to get knocked out by Jake Paul, most people already looking at it like he's a YouTuber. Right? It just looks bad for a real fighter to get beat by a YouTuber like that. Even though, in Woodley's defense, he's not a boxer. You know what I'm saying? He's a wrestler and he's an MMA fighter, so it's different. But it's still, he's a real fighter. So it just makes it just looks bad. You know what I mean? It's rough. But I mean, at the end of the day, boxing is boxing. That's what happens. People get caught. He got caught with a shot that he didn't really see. He extended that arm out. Like you never should ever do that in any situation. Pull out with your arms extended, and that's why he got caught with the shot. He got put out. And I'm gonna say it didn't look fake to me. It looked like it was a legit shot. And in the way he face planted on the mat, I don't think he would do that on purpose. So,
me neither. It was a bad knockout. It really was. Moving on to the Armory in Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA. This one was on Fox. David Morrell with a win now, 6-0. Another knockout for him. He's 6-0 with 5 KOs. A fourth round TKO here against friend of the show, Alontes Fox. Now 28-3 with a draw. That one was for the WBA super middleweight world title. Alontes Fox just never really got going. Reminded me a lot of the Liam Williams fight he had with him. Never got going at any point. Never managed to, make the long jab effective at any point. Too much fighting on the inside, and when he gets in there with a power puncher that's going to be right on his chest and he can't keep him off with a jab, he gives away every kind of natural advantage he has. And that's what happened here. I mean, Morrell, it wasn't like he was just walking in and being allowed in. He's a tricky guy, obviously from that Cuban school. But yeah, Alontes Fox, man, I don't know. I think it's kind of like last chance saloon for him. He loses there. I'm not sure he's going to get a way in to become a world champion at this point. It's another tough loss really for the Fox family in 2021. Obviously we know about Michael Fox last time out. Should be world champion right now actually, or certainly right up there with a big fight after that shocking robbery that he suffered last time. But it's been a bad year for the Fox brothers, and Alontes Fox, completely just outgunned, outdone, and it wasn't even competitive. Sad for him. He's a good friend, but yeah, I don't know what to say, man. He just wasn't in the league of David Morrell, who may end up being a very, very special fighter. On the undercard, Richardson Hitchens with a win, now 13-0, unanimous decision over 10 rounds against Malik Hawkins, now 18-2. That's about it for that one. Moving out now to the AT&T Center in San Antonio, Texas. This one was on, I'm not even sure what channel this one was on now. I was streaming a few things at once. Gilberto Ramirez now 43-0. A TKO in round 10 against Unieski Gonzalez, now 21-4. Gonzalez, down early in the fight, looked absolutely gone. And there's a few times where I don't mean this disrespectfully, but fighters are so gone, they're so out on their feet that you think you can get off your sofa with no boxing training and finish them off in that condition. They are completely spent. But to his credit, and it was quite unbelievable. He come back, he went back to his corner. He come back out. He was still on shaky legs. Then all of a sudden, he got he got everything back together, and actually, I think, started backing up Ramirez and hurting Ramirez in times in that fight. So. Incredible heart from him, but in the end the referee stopped it, and he actually hugged the referee and picked him up in the air. I think he was saying thank you very much. He wasn't going to win the fight, and his punch power wasn't really there in the late stage. He was losing very wide on points, but again, not a really over impressive performance once again from Ramirez, who I think is on he's on a little bit borrowed time in terms of his undefeated record. He's talking about all these champions. He moved up from the weight below 168, where he took care of Jesse Hart, probably most notably, and then he comes up and he could have gone straight into the position to fight Bivol. That's how it works. If you vacate your WBO title, you move up in weight, they can put you straight in as mandatory if you want that. He didn't want that, and that's why he's had a few fights in the meantime. Now he's saying he wants it. I think he's going to try and get to 50-0 or something like that, because that's the way he's going on lately. But if he gets in with Bivol, he loses that fight, in my opinion. So I wasn't really impressed with him. I think he's had a lot of hand troubles as well. I don't rate his power too much, especially at the top level. On the undercard, a good win for Lerrone Richards. It was expected in terms of the bookies, the way they saw the fight. They had Rene Alvarado, former world champion, as the underdog. And he nearly won a shutout, Lerrone Richards. 22-1 with a draw there for the NABA super featherweight title. Considering his one loss came to Jamel Herring, and he didn't really come close to winning that fight against Jamel Herring, I gave him a good chance against Rene Alvarado, who's pretty much, a warrior, really. In your face, bang for bang. He's happy with that. He's a tough guy. Maybe he's a little bit shot now. He's now 32-11. But yeah, impressive from Lerrone Richards. I think that's definitely the best win of his career. It's very impressive. Elsewhere on the undercard, Marlon Esparza now 11-1. A unanimous decision for her over 10 2-minute rounds against Annabelle Ortiz, now 31-5. That won a defense of Esparza's WBC female flyweight world title. Ortiz down in the second and fifth round. And Sinisa Estrada now 22-0. Successful defense for her WBA world female minimum weight world title against Maria Santizo, who was 9-0. She got dropped with a big punch in round 3, but she got straight back up, and then she got knocked out in the fourth round. Sinisa Estrada, one of my favourite female fighters again. She is quite unbelievable. I love the fact that she's got power down at minimum weight. That's just insane. And now the final fight to mention, it took place Tuesday of this week, the Tuesday, where is my brain? December 21st at the Star Event Centre in Sydney, South Wales. I'm not going to treat you to that one again. It is Christmas, but you had it last week. No Australian accents. Super flyweight Andrew Maloney, former world champion, 21-2, friend of the show, now 22-2. He was able to beat Froilan Saluda, who's now 32-5 with a draw. It was for the vacant WBO Oriental super flyweight title. I'm pleased for Andrew Maloney because he's ended the year on a slight high there. Obviously, he's been very, very unlucky in recent times with his fights against Joshua Franco, but a good win for him unanimously over 10 rounds there. Quite wide on the cards, 9-1 on 2 cards and 8-2 on the other. So a good win there to close out a very bad, not just year, but probably 2 years, to be honest with you. So pleased for him. He's a nice guy, Andrew Maloney. But that brings the review part to a close. The final thing for me to do just before we wrap up part 1 is to welcome our first guest on this Christmas special podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the undefeated former British, Commonwealth, European and now new IBO super middleweight world champion. It is, of course, Mr. Lerrone Richards. Lerrone, welcome back on the show, my man. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely my pleasure. So, Lerrone, we last did an interview back in May 2017. So, yeah, it's been a long time since then. Obviously, you've just been climbing. Let's talk about this win on the weekend over Carlos Gongora. You were the underdog. Some people even predicted that you'd get knocked out. However, you barely got hit and you pulled off the points win. Tell me about it, my man.
Yeah, Saturday was a big win for me. I knew I had the ability, I knew I had the skill set to operate at that level. And on Saturday, I showcased that. Carlos Gongora was a top 10, and still is, say, top 15 now, super middleweight in the world, and I beat him with ease.
Would you say that was your most impressive win so far of your career?
I think so. On paper, it looks like it is. Obviously, Carlos Gongora, being a dangerous operator, had just as much fight or knockouts as I've had fights at the time. So he was a dangerous operator, someone that no one wanted to fight, and I stepped up to the plate.
One of the judges turned in a more than questionable scorecard, 116-112 in favour of Gongora. That scorecard was actually the widest of the three as well. The judge in question, Gustino Di Giovanni of Italy. I'm wondering if he's related to Giovanni De Carollis. What did you think when you heard that card?
When I heard the card, I was like, wow. Like, it took me by surprise. I was like, what the hell's going on? But I knew I won enough rounds in that fight to get the victory, so I was confident.
And I was actually at a birthday party while the fight was on. I brought my iPad along and managed to get on Wi-Fi. I watched the fight on the iPad. I couldn't hear any commentary because it was too loud, but from what I could see, I really liked what you were doing. You were outlanding Gongora. You were making him miss. Some people do like to criticise you, though. Rather than congratulating you on the upset win, they want to talk about how boring the fight was. I saw a lot of that online. Does that bother you in any way? Does that annoy you that maybe some fans don't appreciate your very effective style that I think also goes hand in hand with longevity in the sport, not getting hit?
Well, one thing about me, I've always stayed in my own lane and I've just done me. If it's easier to win fights in the back foot, I'll do that. If I have to box in the front foot, I'll do that. But with Carlos Gongora, I had to be very disciplined in the fight. And it was hard for me at times because I wanted to go through the gears. But I had to be disciplined. As everyone knows, Carlos Gongora is a very dangerous operator. And he carries power. And he carries power late in fights as well. So I had to be very disciplined, listen to my corner, listen to Dave Coldwell, and just follow out the game plan. In terms of, people criticizing me and saying this and that, it doesn't bother me. Obviously, I do listen, I do take notice what people say. I'm not ignorant, but at the end of the day, it's called the sweet science of boxing.
And obviously you won the British, you didn't defend it, you moved on to the European, you didn't hang around with that belt either, you've moved on to this IBO title. You're seeming now to go through levels very quickly compared to other parts of your career. What is the next stop on the Lerrone Richards Express?
There's always something to learn at every level. Like you said, British, Commonwealth, European, now the IBO World. So I'm going to leave it down to my team, S-Jam, Eddie Hearn, Dave Coldwell, and we'll see where we go from here. Obviously, the future is bright. The world's my oyster now. My stock has risen. And, I just can't wait to...
And you mentioned Dave Coldwell. Again, when we spoke last time, you were still in the iBox. What's it like, obviously, training under Coldwell? You've been there for quite a while. What kind of sparring are you getting up there on a consistent, regular basis, Lerrone?
Yeah, well, with Dave Coldwell, it's sort of well documented that I've said that he's not just a coach, he's a teacher. And I've learned a lot under Dave Coldwell. My IQ's improved. I've just gone up on a different level. Working with a new strength and conditioning coach as well, boxing science with Danny Wilson. That my conditioning, my strength has just gone up on a world level now. So everything works hand in hand, and I'm a far more improved athlete boxer and boxer since you last spoke to me.
And we're now in the month of December. Every time I interview a boxer in the month of December every year, I like to ask, what's on your Christmas wish list in terms of your boxing career, Lerrone? Where can you be? Where do you want to be in a realistic world this time next year?
Well, like I say every year, I just want to continue to grow and continue to improve as a boxer. And then everything will just follow through. I believe in just taking one step at a time, staying in my own lane and just focusing on what's important and just being happy. And everything else will just follow from there.
As you say, the world is your oyster, Lerrone, and I think the future is very bright for you. I cannot wait to see where you go. We've gone through things quite quickly. I'm just going to throw it over to you just before we wrap it up. If you've got any closing words to the listeners, if you want to say anything at all before we let you go. I think last time we had you on, I think you even thanked Tesco's. I believe you were working there for giving you some time off for a fight at the time.
Yeah. It's mad, and it's been a long journey. I started from the bottom boxing on Sunday shows and Miranda Carter shows, and I'd like to give a big shout out to Miranda Carter for putting me on her shows in 2014. I've kept rising and just kept believing in myself, never giving up. And when there was, say obstacles in the way, I just thought, I took a deep breath and I was like, no, I'm not going to stop here. I'm just going to keep believing in myself, even when no one else believed in me. And I just want to say a quick message to everyone who's listening to just never give up on what you believe in, and always believe in yourself. And I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that supported me from the beginning of my career, and for new supporters as well. As without them, this won't be possible. And just God bless everyone, and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Excellent words, Lerrone. Listen, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you, my friend. Thank you for your time. Congrats on your win. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you and the family as well. Take care, bro.
All right,
God
bro.
bless.
You take
Bye.
care of yourself,
Bye.
yeah?
Bye. Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, the news part of the show. It's going to be very, 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 very brief, this second part here. I'm going to do the news and then the brief preview part. Then we're going to welcome, of course, our main interview, former world champion. Starting with the news. February the 5th, we're going to get to see the Battle of the Jose's at 140. We're going to see Jose Ramirez, former world champion. He gets in with Jose Pedraza. That's going to be a great fight. Really looking forward to that one. Again, February the 5th. And it takes place, I'm not sure where it's taking place, but we're also going to see on the undercard as well the pro debut of Richard Torres Jr., obviously the Olympian. That is going to be exciting. It takes place in Fresno, California, by the way. Elsewhere in other news, Troy Williamson has signed with Probellum. That's kind of cool. Obviously, friend of the show now, Troy, after winning the British title against Ted Cheeseman with a big knockout as well. That's one of the best knockouts I've seen this year. That's about it, though, for the news, to be honest. And moving on to the preview part of the show, not too much to mention at all. This one takes place on Christmas Eve in Russia. Over here, we have Maxim Vlasov, former world title challenger, 45-4 in his 50th pro fight. He's in a 10-rounder against Felix Valera, who's 19-4. Nothing else really on that card there. And yeah, that is it for the preview part of the show. It was just one card to mention taking place there on Christmas Eve. So like I said, this part was very brief. We did the news just there. We did the preview part, just the one fight there. It's now time, though, to welcome this guest, our main interview of this Christmas special podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former IBF welterweight champion of the world. It is, of course, Mr. Joshua Clottey. Joshua, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you so much. So, Joshua, I'd like to start this interview the same way I like to start all these kinds of interviews. Where did your boxing journey begin? What's your earliest memory, perhaps ever putting on a pair of boxing gloves?
I used to play soccer, right? And there is this guy in my area, Bukum, and he was beating all the guys in the ring. So I went and I told the coach that I wanted to fight that guy. So they put the gloves on me and they put me in the ring, and the guy beat me up. He hit my stomach, so I started throwing out. So after that, I said to myself that I have to revenge. So I started training, and we had a rematch, and I beat him. And there I started becoming a boxer.
So it all stemmed from football. There was a guy that played football that was a good boxer, and you became better.
Yeah, exactly. I used to be a footballer.
Excellent, man, excellent. And obviously you boxed as an amateur for a while. That's not something that too many people know about. Tell me about your amateur career. How long did it last? How many fights did you have? What was your favourite moment?
Yeah, our time in amateur in Ghana was the tough times, because, everybody wanted to be in the team to to travel to make a few dollars. So because of that, the selection always very tough. So we always have individual championship. So whoever is gonna be the king in every way to be in the team to travel. So that was 1993, and I always best in my weight. I started from bantamweight to featherweight, and I end up in welterweight, and I'm always in the team. And you know, when I was coming, right, the senior ones that they are in the team, they all don't leave the team for professional. They all wanted to stay in amateurs. So because of that, I have to beat most of them to become the king in the weight. So it was very tough. So I think that really shaped me. You know, even though I went to the IBA games and I went to the Commonwealth games, I did not go to Africa and the Olympics. But our time in amateur was very tough. Every month we're fighting individual championship. So it really shaped me. And so when I came to professional, I think I already know what I'm doing and it works better. But my amateur record was 48 wins and 4 losses.
Okay, excellent, man. And I love hearing these kinds of stories because some of the time these kind of stories people don't know about. It's very interesting to hear them. Let's move on to your pro career, Josh. You made your debut March the 31st of 1995 in Accra, Ghana. You went the distance, a unanimous decision over 6 rounds. Do you remember much about your first fight as a pro?
Yeah, the first fight was always very exciting because I am very, very strong guy in amateur, beating all the guys. So me coming to professional, I know that I'm going to do something great because even though I don't know what is going to the end up will be, but I believe in myself because I don't scare nobody in the ring when I was in amateurs. So me coming to professional, I know it's going to be a very, very great for me, for my career. I fought with a guy called Sami Luchu. You know, we went to the weighing. When we got there, my opponent, who was supposed to fight, wasn't show up. So Sami Luchu was there. He's going to fight with somebody, and the person don't show up. So they asked me if I really wanted to fight the guy because the guy is so huge. He's very, very big and very tall. So when they asked me, I told them that, you know what, I'll fight him. And they said the guy is a super middleweight, and I'm a lightweighter. So I was like, oh, don't worry, I'll fight him. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about the weight. So when we weigh, the guy weighed 168, and I weighed 141. And they asked me, it's very dangerous. I said that I'll fight the guy. So we all accept the fight, and we went home. So on the night of the fight, right, the first round was beating these guys mercilessly, saying that the mother was crying. The mother wanted to come to the ring. He was saying that, why am I even beating his son like that? And then we come to the second round. I didn't know what happened. I didn't know. I can't even remember what happened. We went to the 6th round. After the fight, I asked my senior brother, Emmanuel, that what time I'm going to the ring. And Emmanuel said, I've already fought, and I won. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that I fight. Then I started crying because it was very, very painful because I think the guy knocked me down. According to my brother, I was throwing a right, and the guy too was throwing the same right because the guy was very tall and huge. His right caught me set before my right. So I went down. So I didn't know what happened from the second round to round 6. Oh, wow. And it took me like 3 months. It took me 3 months before I realized myself that this is Joshua Clottey. It was very, very bad.
So tell me, which fight was that, you say?
That was the debut. Okay. Sami Luchu.
Okay. So that's the fight you're talking about?
Yeah, that was the fight I'm talking about. It was really painful. Oh. I didn't know what happens to myself, and I didn't know, even if you're talking to me like how you're talking to me, I feel like slapping you in front of me because it's like, I didn't know maybe something that maybe I might say voodoo or whatever. But it was really terrible.
So your first fight you had, you were actually down yourself, and then you got back up and won on points.
Yeah, I was down on my first fight because I fought a huge guy, and it really, really shaped me.
Wow. Okay, that is interesting, man. I know that on that first fight you had as a pro against Samuel Lotsu, obviously Ben Taki was on the card that night, so was your brother Emmanuel. You ended up having 11 fights in your first year as a pro. Did you enjoy fighting that frequently?
Yeah, I fight because, that time I was very, very... After that incident that happened to me that I talked to you about, Samuel fight, I went to the beach. I didn't know even that I was at the beach, but as I was running, right, and I heard something come out of me. Then I started looking myself that, wow, what is going on? This is Joshua. Why am I struggling? So I ran back home. When I got home, I started crying. Then after that, I started training. I think that's how I got the 11 fight, because I fight every promotion that goes on in Ghana. I always wanted to participate in. So I had that fight, yeah.
And obviously, I'm from the UK. You had many fights here in the UK. Tell me what you remember about fighting over here in London, the capital city. Did you like fighting over here? I know you boxed at York Hall as well.
Well, when after the 11 fight here, we got a promoter who is I'm sure you know Panos Eliadis, the one that was promoting Lennox Lewis, Panos Eliadis.
Okay, yeah.
And he was partner with Frank Maloney, so they signed a promotional contract. As we got to UK, I always fight with the guys. I always beat them up. I always knock them out. But anytime I'm requesting for those guys that they are on top, they're always kind of very, very hard for me to get. So finally, right, that was 1999. I got the fight with Carlos Baldomir for the WBC International. I thought I was winning the fight, and the referee came up with speech, accidental headbutt, and he took the fight away from me and left UK to US.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, that was the first loss of your career. It's probably a bad memory. You were winning the fight. You were 20-0 with 15 KOs at the time. Obviously, you boxed future WBC welterweight world champion Carlos Baldomir. And as you say, it took place in 1999 in the Wembley Arena. Looking back now, you got disqualified in round 11. I seen the replay. I can't understand why the referee stopped it at that moment. It wasn't. I don't think you used your head. I mean, what do you think now, looking back? Was it a bad decision from the referee?
What the referee did at that time was really, really bad, because you see, that was my first time fighting for international title, and I know I was winning the fight. As I was winning the fight, I didn't even know what happened, and then just that you just hold my hand and you tell me that you disqualify me. For what reason? I didn't even know what. Then he started framing up with this accidental headbutt, and I was like, what is going on? So even the people that were watching the fight was really upset, and everybody wanted to throw even bottles and everything into the ring. But it was really bad decision. And one thing that I didn't even surprise me is that, because I went to the bathroom and I saw my manager and the guy manager talking. So there I started thinking that there is something fishy going on. But I was like, what, let me just go there and do my thing. And they disqualified me for no reason. It really, really hurts me. But it is what it is. Sometimes those things happen for you and mature you to a next step.
Yeah, and it certainly did mature you to the next step. Obviously, after the Baldomir fight, you went back to Ghana. You won 4 fights in a row. Then you got 3 wins in the United States. Then you had that second round no contest against Steve Martinez when you clash heads. Then you win another 3 fights, all in the States. At this point, your record's 30-1. You'd been a pro for 11 years and 9 months. You finally got your shot at a world title. December 2nd, 2006 in Atlantic City, you challenged the then WBO welterweight world champion Antonio Margarito. You broke your hand early in the fight. Antonio went on to win unanimously over 12 rounds. Tell me what you remember about that Saturday evening, Josh.
You know, that fight with Antonio Margarito, I was so excited about the fight, because you know that I heard people were talking about people always it was the fiercest fighter in the world. Nobody wanted to fight him. So when Bob Arum told me that he wanted me to fight with Margarito, I told him that yes, okay, no problem, I am ready. I'll fight the guy. But you know, that time, right, I didn't really know what called scary in the ring or afraid opponent. I always wanted to fight. So when they told me about the fight, I'm so excited about me fighting the guy. So we went to the training camp. I had a very good training camp. I did my thing. I aspired a lot. I did everything to win the fight. But you know, a week to end the training camp, I started feeling pains in my knuckles, the 2 knuckles. But you know, when I told the trainer was saying that because I have trained a lot for this fight, I've been using the hand for 2 months. Is the reason why I'm getting a soft fracture. And it's going to be all right if I rest the hand by maybe a couple of days. So because of that, I did not even throw the hand for like a week before the fight. So when we go to the ring, you know, Margarito had a very strong head. So anytime you hit Margarito, he always don't fool your punches. I was feeling this guy with good shots. There, from the forefront, I started feeling the pains that I had in the training camp. There, I came to the corner and I told the trainer that we are in trouble. And he said, what? I said, I'm feeling the pains now. Anytime I hit the guy with my hand, I feel like there's something like some hard pains in my heart. So I feel like the pain is too much. And he said I should keep going, keep trying. It gets to a time when, you know, I can't even throw the hand anymore because of the pain is too much. I told myself, this is my first world title. I have to be there for the fight to end in a decision. Then I'll get a knockout in my record, because I know there is no way I would love to be knocked out. So I went there and stayed there for the fight, and the whole 12 rounds, and they gave the unanimous decision to him.
Yeah, but no, like I say, to break your hand early on in the fight and to actually go into the fight with a hand that's not really ready for battle, you know, it's brave, and obviously you hung in there, showed your toughness. 4 months later, you jump straight back in with former 4-time world champion Diego Corrales. April 7th, 2007 in Missouri. You knocked him down twice and beat him unanimously over 10 rounds. Obviously, this was Diego's final fight before his untimely death exactly 1 month later. But tell me what you remember about your fight against Diego, Josh. A brilliant win.
Diego Corrales fight was a fight to, announce myself to the whole world. You know, after the Margarito fight, I came to Ghana, and I was enjoying the Africa dishes. You know, and I was like, I think I was here, and I saw in the internet that Diego wanted to move to welterweight, and he's looking for a dance partner. So quickly, I called and I told the promoter that I wanted to fight the guy. So they couldn't believe it, because they feel like Diego is a kind of a very strong fighter and a 4-division world champion. So me wanted to fight him. They feel like he's dangerous. But I told them I'll fight. So I went to America and I started training. You know, to cut a long story short about that incident, I weighed 12 pounds over the day of the weighing day. I weighed 12 pounds over. And they said whether they will take 30% out of my pay or ban me 2 years. So I should choose either one. So I told them no. I wanted to fight these guys. So what is going to happen? They should give me time. So I went to the hotel room. I put on a lot of stuff to my body, and I ran from somewhere that I don't know in Missouri. It was very cold time. I ran far away that I didn't know anybody there. I ran back to the hotel where we're gonna fight. I went to the scale, and they left with only 3 pounds. And the match, the catman was like, Miguel Diaz was the catman, my catman. He was like, wow, I have done well, but I shouldn't run again because there is nothing left in me. So he took me to the sauna, and he put a balloon on my whole body, and he put me to the sun. In the sauna, I was in the sauna almost like 10 minutes. I started burning. I started crying. Then I come out. We went to the weigh-in, and we were 149. That time the other two was 149, and we had a fight. It was really, really best performance that I had in America, and it really shoots me to the world. And they know that this guy is somebody who is going to make something good in the game. And it was the best performance, and I really thank Almighty Allah for that win.
Yeah, it was a great way to come back as well after, losing to Margarito, to come straight back against someone like Corrales and win like that. 4 months later is when you boxed the 2-time world title challenger, Felix Flores. This one took place in Las Vegas. You beat him also unanimously over 10 rounds. Do you remember much about that fight, Josh?
Yeah. That fight, when they told me about him challenging the title twice, he's a very strong guy, going to the top fight. I really told the promoter that I wanted to fight him, because those are the opponents that will make you a name. So I think the first round, I wanted to go toe-to-toe with him. But I realized that he's a very strong guy. He has a very strong hands. Anytime he hits me, I feel that he's hitting me with a solid punch. So I decided to take the fight like this. Every round, I'll fight different types. So if I go on toe-to-toe first round, the second round, I'll just move around. And the third round, I'll go to toe-to-toe. And the fourth round, I'll move around. I did that until I realized that from the round 7, I realized that he's now slow. There, I started chasing him, and I won the fight on decision.
Yeah, no, a good win once again. Another 4 months later, we get to December 2007. You beat Shimon Alvarez in an IBF eliminator in Las Vegas. You beat him unanimously over 12. Then we get to 2008. You knocked out Jose Luis Cruz in 5 rounds in Brooklyn in April. But now we get to the big one. August 2nd, 2008, back in Las Vegas, you boxed for the vacant IBF welterweight world title against former 2-time light welterweight and unified welterweight world champion Zab Judah. The fight ends in round 9. You become world champion by technical decision. Describe to me what it felt like for you, coming from a place like Accra, Ghana, to win a world title in the sport of boxing.
It's like a dream comes true, because, me being amateur star, me turn professional, becoming a world champion, it's like a dream comes true. That's what I wanted to fulfill before I become a boxer. So, when I won that fight with Zab Judah, I was so happy. Even the referee wanted to, play me in a game, like taking the fight away from me. But, because Almighty Allah knows that I was doing, and the fight was, I was winning the fight, and the referee wanted to take the fight away from me. I won on the scorecard. I came to Ghana, and it was really very, very big jubilation. People were so happy about it. Because, most people don't surprise that much, because they feel like in my amateur days, the way I was beating the senior guys, they have me in their mind that I'm definitely going to be a world champion. So they were really, really happy. I am happy about it that at the end of the day, I fulfilled my dream. It's really best,
No, it's brilliant, man. I love hearing these stories, like I say. But just tell me about the fight as well. You told me what it was like to win a world title. Where you're coming from is a very, very tough place. But the fight itself, I mean, Zab Judah was a brilliant, brilliant fighter. He went on to win world titles after that as well. Just tell me about being in there, fighting a guy like Zab with all his experience too.
You know, Zab Judah fight, I know, one thing that win a fighter's bout is when you have in the mind that you beat your opponent, it's a first step of winning. When you have in your mind the guy that you're going to fight is going to be a very tough fight, it's going to be a tough fight for you because it's what you're going to put in the mind before you enter the ring is what will lead you to the fight. So the fight, I know in my mind I'll be that guy because it's a second world title. I'm going to lose that one. Even though Zab Judah was undisputed welterweight champion, I know that it's a top fight. And I have in my mind, long time ago when I was fighting on the Broadway, that this guy, if I get him, I'll beat him. So when it comes to me to fight him, I think I had a fight and I mentioned his name that I wanted to fight him. He came to the gym that we all train at, Greasy's gym, and he tried to cause problems. At the end of the day, he's trying to fight me in street fight because I mentioned his name that I wanted to fight him. So we had that problem, but he didn't know. He used to spar with my senior brother. So the press conference of the fight, he was saying that he used to beat me in sparring, and he's going to beat me like the day of the fight. And I told her, it's not me that you spar. I never spar with you before. It was me. It was me who said I wanted to beat you in a ring. And you came to the gym that you wanted to fight me in the gym. It was me. It's not my brother. I'm not my brother that you spar with. It was me that you wanted to fight at Greasy's gym. Before he realized that, wow, he has a very, very tough assignment in front of him. But all in all, like I said, in my mind, I know I'll beat him. So whatever he's doing, he's punching, I still feel like I'll beat him. And at the end of the day, it happens like that.
So let me just get that straight again. You said that your older brother had sparred Zab before. So when Zab made the fight with you, he thought he was actually fighting your older brother, but obviously it wasn't. It was you.
Yeah, he sparred with my brother. My brother used to spar with him in Greasy's gym. Okay. But me and my brother, we resemble. So when the fight came on, he thought it was me that he was sparring long time ago. But I didn't know that it was my brother until I told him to be clear. It's not me who you spar with. It was me who challenged you. So it was me that wanted to fight. He's not my brother. Before I realized that, wow, then it's going to be a difficult fight.
That is brilliant, man. That's a brilliant story. You never ended up defending the title. I believe you got stripped, I think, in April 2009. What happened with that, Josh?
Yeah. After the Zab Judah fight, I won the title. My next fight supposed to be defending. It's a Madrid with Isaac Watrayu from South Africa. And Bob Arum is not interested in promoting me and Watrayu because we have a couple of good fighters. Miguel Cotto is there, Margarito is there, everybody is there. So he was like, he's not ready to promote me and Watrayu. So in that case, I have to go to South Africa and fight with the guy and defend the title for the guy. And I know the South Africa, me getting there, if I don't know the guy out, then I'm going to lose my title. They will rob me after the 12 rounds. So Bob Arum proposed the fight with me and Miguel Cotto. And I said, correct, that's the fight that I want. I want to fight the best. So Miguel Cotto is the best, and we are going to unify the title. So Bob Arum was trying to do everything he can to make us unify the title before the winner fight is for trial. But they don't want to. So IBF said, if I'm still going forward with Miguel Cotto fight, then they will strip me off. And I said, fine, they should strip me off because I am getting good fights and I'm getting what I want in that fight. So they strip me off, and I don't even really bother. That's why me a Cotto fight for Miguel Cotto the BBO.
Yeah, that is the next fight. Obviously, you take on Miguel Cotto, WBO welterweight world champion at the time, recent Hall of Fame inductee. The fight takes place Madison Square Garden, June 13th, 2009. You're down in the first round, but you get up and you lose a split decision to Cotto. I'm sure you felt you won the fight, Josh. Tell me about it.
You know, that fight, it was the same mind of me going to the ring knows that I'm going to win. I trained a lot for the fight. If I heard them on the media saying that Miguel Cotto is going to work on me, knock me out, do this, I laugh at them because I know who I am. When we got to the fight, I showed them who I am. I know I won that fight because the judge that gave the fight to me was at my hotel. And he told me point blank that he knows I won the fight. But they do what they have to do to me because Miguel Cotto and Manny Pacquiao were negotiating to fight. So they don't want to shut that bout. So they gave the fight to him. But I know I won that fight.
After that fight, Josh, you know, Cotto obviously had the Manny Pacquiao fight that you mentioned. He lost the title to Manny Pacquiao. You then go straight in with Manny Pacquiao. Again, this run that you had of fights was just incredible at the time. So you get in with Manny Pacquiao for his WBO world title. March 13th, 2010 at the Cowboys Stadium in Arlington, Texas. You lose a unanimous decision against Manny over 12 rounds. Tell me what you remember about that fight and, of course, what it was like to fight and go 12 rounds with a legend like Manny Pacquiao.
I will not just say that I'll be happy that I went to the 12 rounds with the legend Manny Pacquiao. No, it was really, really sad because it's like they treat me nice. My manager treats me nice. And they feel like he respects me as a boxer. I think I'll be very different in that fight. The manager is taking 33% from the purse, and he's getting 33% from pay-per-view. I am telling you this for you to understand the reason why the Manny Pacquiao fight I wasn't there. They gave me $3 in each of pay-per-view selling. And that $3 was even not fair. And they gave me the $3 even they started from after 300,000 buyers. So that means if we got only 300,000 buyers, I will not even get a pay-per-view money. But God willing, we sold almost like 700 plus. But they gave me $3, $3 each. And $3 each, they gave me after 300,000 buyers, which is very sad. That was like they using me. And what is most annoying is that the manager too was with the promoters. He's not on my side. And he's getting 33% out of every money. So, you know, I'm a human being. He's been getting 33% all this while that I was fighting. And because he locked his contract. And he's not giving me money for almost like 4 to 5 years. That I was paying my rent, I was buying my training kits, I was doing everything with my own money. And he is getting 33 from my purse. There is no way that I will be happy fighting for him. There is no, even if I'm happy today, tomorrow I won't be happy. The whole mess will go happen. So when the Pacquiao fight comes, he's already agreed on the purse. Without even telling me, because the money was 1 million, and he was thinking about getting 1 million. I even fought down before they put another money on the 1 million, before we went to the fight. And the pay-per-view too, I was getting $3 after 300,000 buyers. And the guy is making all the money. So even the day of the fight, I went to his hotel room, and I told him that the 33% that he's making is weakening my mind before getting to the fight. So he should take 25% so that I'll get it from his purse. Because it's been 4 years, you haven't given me $1 before. He said, no, this is the business. So when he said this is business, I put in my head that, you know what, I'll go to the ring and stand there and just defend myself for all of us to make the money. Then we all go home. So when I'm in the ring, I was trying to come with a different mind. I've already put that in the mind. That's why I lost that fight back.
You know, I hear a lot of stories about how, problems outside of the ring obviously can cause problems inside of the ring. The fact that, you're at the hotel on the day of the fight or the day before the fight trying to sort out financial stuff with your team is just, this is like a recipe for disaster, you know what I'm saying? So I guess, it sounds like your memories of the Pacquiao fight are shadowed, unfortunately, by financial stuff, problems within the team. I'm guessing the manager or whatever that you had at the time was, looking out for his best interests and not your own.
True. It's true, because even the fight, his target was, he told me the day that we're going to sign the contract that if tomorrow we all hit $1 million for a fight, we're all going to be happy. So you see, when they mentioned the 1 million, he wasn't even wanted to negotiate. He was happy because that was his target. And so I came in and I started talking until they increased the money to over 1 million before the pay-per-view. Even the pay-per-view, how can you even negotiate $3 after 350,000, after 300,000 buyers? Why are you even thinking about that? Because you already target for 1 million. So it's all about, I just don't want it to be fool for somebody. So me going to Manny Pacquiao fight, the whole thing in the mind is not about fight. It's about somebody trying to feel like he's using me. So there is no way I'll perform.
Yeah, it's a sad thing, man, because that was obviously a huge fight, massive as well for Ghana to have one of their own fighting, Manny Pacquiao. After the Pacquiao fight, you spend a year and 8 months out the ring before returning at 154 and winning 4 fights in a row, the first against Calvin Green, then Deshaun Johnson. Then you travel to Australia to fight former 2-time WBA super middleweight world champion Anthony Mundine. You beat him unanimously over 12 rounds. You drop him, I think, 5 times in the fight. Tell me about that one.
In the Mundine fight, right? I was moving up in 147 to 154. I lose almost like 29 pounds.
Wow.
Anytime I'm making 147. So it's always a problem for me fighting good in welterweight. So when I decided to move up in 154, I become very, very strong. Because even though I was 36 years or 37 years, because I was moving up and I was putting a little food on my body now, I started feeling stronger. So I trained a lot for that fight because I wanted to make a statement. So when we had that fight, I dropped him like 5 times and I won on decision. Even if you go through that fight, just pick round 6. If you pick the round 6, right, and watch the round 6 carefully, you will see that when the referee counts the 10 to Mundine, he called Mundine to wake up by force. That means if the referee is being fair, I would have knocked Mundine in round 6. But the referee called Mundine, get up, after the counts, if you want that fight. So because I move up in weight, I become very strong, and I train a lot for that fight, and I won that fight in Australia.
Yeah, another good win as well for your resume, for your legacy. Then, like I say, you won your next fight against Jorge Silva on the Canelo Kirkland undercard. That's 4 wins in a row, like I mentioned. Your next fight, you boxed Gabriel Rosado, December 19th, 2015 in Verona, New York. Rosado, even to this day, still such a tough guy. You lose a unanimous decision over 10. What do you remember about that one, man? I feel like that fight was always going to go the distance. You're both so tough.
You know that fight, right? I shouldn't have fight that fight. It's very, very bad. Reason why sometimes I don't even think about that fight and I don't even put it in my record because it was very, very sad. It was those kind of things, you know, sometimes whatever happens to you in the boxing game, right, you always learn a lot. And when you are a nice person, sometimes you tell those up-and-coming ones to be very careful. Listen, the promoter that I signed with was Star Boxing. You put me to Mundine in Australia. It was a very, very risk fight. I went there. I won. I beat Mundine up. I came to the rankings at number 2 in 154 because I won the WBA International. Why do you even have to put me into Rosado, who is a middleweight, that I am not even a middleweight? You know, there are certain things that sometimes you can choose not to do it. But sometimes if there is no option for you to do it, you have no option to take it. Because how can you put me into a middleweight? I was complaining about this fight. I told the promoter, listen to me, this is a wrong fight. We had a very, very good we are in a good position in the rankings. We will fight for a world title. And I believe that if I go for 154 title, I won that fight. So don't push me to there. The promoter wanted to push me there because it was a Golden Boy promotion fight. And because he's now giving me a fight for the year, he wanted me to go there. And the money too was like $40,000. And he will make his cut. So it's all about money to them. You know, when you are an African fighter, there is no way you get it easy. When you go to the land of where the boxing takes place, they're always going to use you. He puts me there because we're making $40,000, and the $40,000 he's going to make his cut. You don't want to promote me for me to get to where we're going to get a world title for us to make the huge money. But he pushed me to where he's now promoting for us to make the small $40,000 for him to make cuts. And I lose that fight. I was beating the guy from the first 4 rounds. But because he's so huge to extend that, and it's not my weight, and I move the weight, it will be definitely gonna get tired because it's a huge guy. That's how I got to lose that fight.
And Josh, you mentioned there about African fighters. They sort of get used. I've always wondered because there's 2 things that I associate with almost every African fighter, right? Not to categorize you all, but I want to say that every African fighter that gets to world title level is not there because of luck. They never have any luck. When they get to world title level, they pick up a world title. It is through pure hard work to get there. And also, why is it that every African fighter seems to be so tough? I mean, you yourself, you're made of something else, man. You guys are so tough, and you know you put it on the line every time. What is it? Maybe the upbringing? Is it the fact that you know you're going to get screwed over if you're not 100% on your game? What is it about the African fighters that makes them so tough and have so much belief in themselves?
If you're not tough, and you don't believe yourself, and you don't stand up on your ground to become somebody in boxing, if you're an African, you can be loser. The only thing that can help you have to be very, very tough. You have to train a lot. You have to be strong because you getting there, the only thing in their mind is to use you. There is no way they can make you. Listen to me. When I started boxing, I'm good. I went to England, I was doing good. I went to US, I was doing good. Look at Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto is 4 times or 5 times world champion because he has a lot of people following him. We, the African fighters, we don't have our people following us because they're all making money to bring it to Ghana and make a life. So it's always tough because we don't bring people to the stadium. So when it comes to you as an African fighter, you don't have a choice. You always have to take any fight. And it's very, very tough for African fighters. So anytime African fighter gets to the top of boxing, he was in a high level, you have to respect him. Yeah. The reason why you have to respect him is because he is not getting it easy. They're always going to take you to people's background and fight there. Because they want that boxer to beat you. They don't want you to win because you win if your people don't follow you, and the person winning is people following him. So that's what they want. It's always tough for African fighters when it comes to foreign land. It's very, very bad.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's amazing. Every African fighter that gets to the top level has to be respected maximum because they more than likely came a completely different path to most of the other world champions that make it to that level. As you say, like your Cottos, these superstars. It's not like that for a lot of the African fighters. After that Rosado fight, you was out the ring for 3 years and 3 months. Then you come back, you get 2 more wins, both by a knockout, both back home in Ghana in 2019. Your record, obviously, at this point, 41-5. It's a brilliant career, Josh. Is that it now? Are you officially retired?
Well, as for the retire, I would never going to tell anybody whether I retire from boxing or still fighting. No, I will not tell anybody. And sorry about that. But you see, listen, I don't want to, I think after Pacquiao fight and whatever I had in boxing, I made small investment that feed me up. I think that's all matters. I am not young, I'm 44 years. So if I'm still going to keep fighting, then maybe I'm putting myself into trouble. And one thing about African fighters is, if you make the money, if you make small money, and you take good care of the money, you enjoy by not wasting your life or by not going to people's what do you call it, background and go fight for $30,000 and $20,000 that you will lose almost like 18. Look at Kasioma. Kasioma have lost almost like a 90 to 21 fights. How are you going to happy like that? No, I would rather respect myself with my 41 wins and 5 losses than going there and lose to anybody. No, I will not do it. I will not do it. No. If I decided today to fight and I feel like I am ready to do it, I'll do it. And if I'm not ready, so be it. When one day, I will retire, I'll call you on your phone and we'll grant interview.
Okay, but yeah, I just want to say, I mean, yeah, you don't have anything to prove. You've been a world champion. You've got a tremendous record, a tremendous resume, man. And yeah, if you know, it's a very good decision I think you've made so far. Coming down to the last few questions, these are kind of simple, quick questions before we wrap it up, Josh. I've got a few of them. You were such a tough guy, but who would you say of all your opponents hit the hardest?
Richard Gutierrez. All those that are fought, Richard Gutierrez is my toughest fight. He's the one that hit so hard. He was the one that I had a fight with. After the fight, I came home and I couldn't breathe well. It was my toughest fight, Richard Gutierrez.
Wow, I really thought you'd say someone else, but that's interesting. Okay, cool. And I want to ask you this one as well. What's your most favourite win of your career? It's got to be the Zab Judah one, surely.
Oh, no, my favorite win in my career was Diego Corrales fight.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was somebody that I always watch, and it was always tough guy. Most of the phones in Ghana, they have a fight with Cotto, the 12 France drama that happens. So people know Diego Corrales, and I had a fight with him, and I was so happy about my performance, and I was happy about the whole fight, and I felt like it was blessed fighting him, and may his soul rest in perfect peace.
And this question here now, do you have any regrets? I ask this to a lot of fighters. Sometimes they say no. I love it when they say no. That's the best way to be. But some people, unfortunately, do have a long list of regrets. Do you have any regrets? Would you go back and change something if you could?
Asking what? I know the regret, I understand, but asking what? My career or my management or my what?
Whatever you like, really. I guess your boxing career, your management, anything.
Yeah. I have a very, very big regret because I feel like by now, because I'm naturally strong, and talking about boxing, I feel like I have everything to be a very, very good fighter, becoming a maybe 2 times world champion, 3 times world champion, because I know what I can do in the ring. But I have a regret by me not always taking my contract to a lawyer to study, to tell me what is in the contract, than listen to my trainer, who always disappoints me by making us sign a bad contract that always affects me throughout my career. Because if I have a good contract, I think by now, with Pacquiao fight, I'll perform better, and by now I'll come out of boxing. But I had almost like 6 years that I did not have a fight because of breakages that happens to my career. And I was really, really regret, because if like I always take my contract to a lawyer to study and give me what is in the contract, bad and good, I think it will help me. I had the same contract with Dibella. I signed contract with Dibella because I gave the contract to my manager. He took the contract to UK. He brought the contract. He told me that the contract was okay if I signed. I signed the contract, not knowing every fight that I'm going to have is only $5,000 in the contract. I have to go to the promoter and fight the promoter every day, who is Lou Dibella. And he sold me to Top Rank. I signed contract with the manager, Lou Dibella, and the contract was very, very bad. I saw it coming. I told the trainer that let me take the contract to a lawyer for him to study the contract and give us what is good or bad. The trainer was like, the contract is okay, I shouldn't get scared, the manager is a good man, and I signed. And it really affects me because he loved the contract. He said the 3% always stands forever. Why he's not giving me money forever? So you see the regrets.
It's terrible how, guys that don't get in the ring like to take advantage of guys that do get in the ring. It's horrible, actually. I want to ask you this one as well, Josh. Who was the of all the guys you fought, who do you feel was the best all-round fighter?
I fought with Miguel Cotto. I fought with Zab Judah. I fought with Diego Corrales. I fought with Manny Pacquiao. But I will always tell you, Richard Gutierrez made me not to breathe well. After the fight, I can't even cough well. I cough like easy. Because if I cough well, I feel the pain in my ribs. It was all-round fight. From 1 to 10 was all action fight. I can never, ever forget about that fight.
Okay. And I want to ask you this one as well, Josh. Is there anyone you wish you'd have had the chance to fight, but it didn't happen?
Manny Pacquiao. If today, I will get a chance to fight somebody, even if it's not fight, exhibition fight, I can travel to Manny Pacquiao's country and I will have a fight with him without even collecting $1.
Hang on a minute.
I want that chance.
So the question was: Is there anyone you wish you'd have had the chance to fight? You say Pacquiao, who obviously you did fight. You'd still like to fight him to this day?
Yeah, I would love to, even if it's exhibition. Because you say, listen, I had that fight with Manny Pacquiao without me being there. So I really disgraced myself and a lot of people. So I always want a chance to get that revenge. Even if it is exhibition, I'll make it like a fight. And I'll promise that I will even charge one pound.
Okay, so if he says exhibition in the Philippines next week, no money, you're there. You're on a plane tomorrow.
I'll pack my baggage right now, and I'll go to the airport. Even if they said the plane will take off 3 days time, I'll go to the airport and sleep there. I want that fight so bad. You know that's the reason why when I got a Canelo fight, right? I was so happy that Canelo wanted to fight me. For me to bring back my image, and he pulled out from the fight.
Yeah, I was going to say, some people forget that it was going to happen. It was done and dusted, and then he got, I think it was an ankle injury, and the fight never ended up getting resurrected. Is that a regret of yours, Josh? If you could go back and fight Manny Pacquiao differently, is that a regret that you didn't fight him, the way you normally fight? You wasn't there for that fight?
Yeah. You know, let's say, I always, even if I call myself a great fighter, I'm always gonna have to be say it in a low way. Reason is that, sometimes I think I did best for my career, but the Pacquiao fight that I had was a very, very bad fight. So it was really regret. I don't regret because I fought with him, because that time he was the pound for pound number one. I full breast I fought in the pound for pound number one. But I regret the performance because it really took a lot from me. Very, very, very a lot.
I want to ask you this as well, Josh. Obviously, I don't know how much money you made from boxing. You obviously had people taking big percentages of your purses, and it's a terrible thing. And I also didn't know that you were living back home in Ghana. I'm speaking to you right now from Ghana. What keeps you busy? What gets you out of bed every day? Are you living like a king over there? What's going on day to day in your life now?
You see, this whole thing about boxing and money are very dangerous thing. If you're fighting as a boxer, it's a very dangerous sport. And when you're making money too is very dangerous, because money brings a lot of women around you, a lot of friends, a lot of things. Money always wanted you to go and do certain things that is bad. So when you started making the money and you don't get people around you, or you are not humble, the whole world is humble. If you started making money and you're not humble, your money will never gonna last. So after the Pacquiao fight, that was the huge money that I made. So after that fight, I bought houses in some places in residential area. And those houses are those that take care of me now, because it's rent. So that is what I did with my money. And I never regret buying those houses, because today, those are the money that are taking care of myself now.
Yeah, good, man. That's a brilliant thing. I'm very pleased that you've invested it smartly. A lot of people don't invest it smartly. They end up running out of money, and they end up having to come back at age 44 because they need the money. I'm very pleased that you did that. I want to ask you this question as well. Josh, are you a happy man when you look back on your career now? We're in 2021, almost in 2022. Are you a happy man today, every day when you wake up? Are you happy?
I am so happy. That's in one thing, because when I am in my career, I never ever use no voodoo to do anything in my career. I am so happy that today, if I go on bed, I sleep without no Igbo chasing me. I am so happy that today, after 11 years of me fighting with Manny Pacquiao, I still feed my family. I take care of my children very, very well. Even one just finished university. So those are the things that I am happy about. And I always thank God that He really guides me to be very humble to everybody, because you being humble, your money always stays.
That's beautiful words, my friend. And just coming down to the last real question for you, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. I like to ask this question to everyone that I speak to from all different countries around the world. Who is your favourite, if you have one, UK fighter? Any era. It can be a guy still boxing today. It can be a guy who retired 100 years ago. Who is your favourite UK fighter?
I have to. It's okay.
Yeah.
I have two favorite fighters in UK. I have Tyson Fury.
Oh yeah.
Tyson Fury. He's so smart guy. You see, the guy he never come on people when he fight. He always box around. He realized one thing as a smart fighter. He realized that anytime those guys fighting with wider, and they always giving the wider chance, they move around. Wider always on them, and he knock them out. So he realized that, you know what? Are we even move around fighting with wider? I'll just change wider. You know why? Because he realized that wider's legs are very, very tiny, and those legs can never move fast. Since he started chasing wider, he's been beating wider. That's a smart fighter. You always have to learn how you're going to approach any fight. I'm sure he's going to fight with Dillian Whyte. And I guarantee you that he's not going to chase on Dillian Whyte. He will move around because you know Dillian Whyte is a very strong guy. He will move around to use his boxing skills to beat Dillian Whyte. So that's a smart guy. And the second one is Anthony Joshua. Because one, he have my name. Second is an African and UK. So they always I will support my African guy.
Okay, yeah, excellent. Two heavyweights, very good. And just finally, Josh, the final thing I want to ask you, if you've got any closing words, if you've got any last message before the phone call ends, to anyone in the world that's listening to this, any fans perhaps in the UK, if you've got anything to say at all, say whatever you like. Leave us with a nice message before you go.
Well, the whole issue about this whole life is very, very sad. The world is so sad. There is nothing in it. Whatever you have in life, right, you're not going to take any of them to you when you die. Just be humble. Be humble. Be fair. You know, we all have God who we serve. The God that we believe in. But one thing about it is that the God that we serve, we can never see him today. So believe that you have to know when you're doing good and believe when you're doing bad. And when you are like that, you stay strong. You're always going to die in peaceful death. That's all I have to say.
Beautiful words, my friend. Listen, Josh, I just want to say it's been a real pleasure speaking with you and walking down memory lane with you. Thank you for your time. I hope we can speak again soon, and I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a wonderfully Happy New Year.
Same to you, and thanks so much.
Okay, and this wraps up episode 323 of the BoxHard Podcast, aka the 2021 Christmas special. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. A huge thank you to our two guests this week, the undefeated former British Commonwealth and European super middleweight champion Lerrone Richards, and the former IBF welterweight world champion Joshua Clottey. The biggest thanks of all, though, goes out to you, the listeners. First things first, I want to apologise for the technical issues during that Lerrone Richards interview. At no point did I rudely speak over him like it sounded like. There was a delay for some reason during his responses, and it meant that my next questions would sometimes overlap the final few words of his sentence. So I apologise for that. I think I need to buy some new equipment, as I think the stuff that I've got right now is just getting a little bit old. There has been a couple of pieces of news break whilst we've been recording the show. 2 fights have been made. Two former champions, Keith Thurman and Mario Barrios, will be fighting each other on February 5th in Las Vegas. It's going to be a great fight. I can't wait for that one. And in other news, Gary Russell Jr. defends his WBC featherweight world title against Mark Magsayo on January 22nd in Atlantic City. That's it for the news. Remember to send us on Twitter your fighter of the year, fight of the year, prospect of the year, trainer of the year, knockout of the year, most improved fighter of the year, British fighter of the year, female fighter of the year, young fighter of the year, and upset of the year. And any other category that you may want to send in, you can create your own one and send it in, no problemo. Get them into us on Twitter and we will read them all out on next week's podcast. So remember, this is your last chance for that. Do not forget to send them in. We need them by early next week. And we'll also be giving away some BoxHard Podcast t-shirts to some entrants. But that's about everything from myself. I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. I hope you all have a brilliant weekend, and we shall see you all again next week on the 2021 end of year special podcast.